Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar this morning. We have another great presentation put together for you today. My name is Misha Liu, and I am the marketing specialist for DynaEnergetics. I will be the host for today's webinar. Our panelist today is Jason Booher. Jason is based in our Blum, Texas office and has been with DynaEnergetics for just under a year. As one of our product managers, Jason is responsible for our unconventional systems. He has over 16 years of experience in wireline services, technical support, and field and management responsibilities. Jason, thank you for being on the call with us. Today, we are excited to announce the official launch of two new products, DS Liberator, a ballistic release tool, and DS Microset, a setting tool. Throughout the call, if you have any questions, please type them in the Q&A function, which is located at the bottom of your screen. We will be monitoring all the questions and we'll be answering them at the end of the call. We have a lot of great topics we'll be covering for you today, so we're going to jump right into it with our first question. So Jason, the introduction of these two new products reflect our ongoing efforts to advance the unconventional oil and gas industry from hand assembling components in the field to deploying factory assembled well perforating systems. Consistent with our DS family of perforating systems, both DS Microset and DS Liberator enable customers to simplify their business model. Can you discuss and give us some examples as to how supply chain can be minimized and streamlined with these tools?
Yes, of course, and thank you for the introduction, Misha. So in our previous webinars, we discussed how DynaEnergetics went from manufacturing explosive components to now building full gun systems. So this was achieved through the introduction of the DynaStage factory assembled performance assured methods. Now we're further expanding the DynaStage family with these two tools, the DS Liberator, the ballistic release tool, and the DS Microset, the setting tool. These tools are offering the clients the same experience as was brought to them with the factory assembled DynaStage gun strings. So what we're attempting to do here is achieve a one-stop shop for all your perforating needs, these tools being fully integrated and compatible with the DynaStage gun strings. So with this, they're as well built around the IS-2 initiating system, which is enhancing safety aspects, eliminating all wiring, go along with the plug and go design. They are length optimized as well, as we're always keeping that in mind. We're able to increase efficiencies and ease of use for the field personnel. These are all elements of the DynaStage family of tools, now incorporating these two tools into that family. So you had mentioned something about supply chain. So basically the way we're looking at this is supply chain optimization is simplicity for the end user. So we're helping them streamline their vendors lists, reducing reliance on multiple vendors. We're vastly reducing transactions. These tools are, as the rest of the DynaStage family, delivered directly to the well site. They'll be pre-assembled and ready for deployment. As a result of this, the customers are minimizing dependence upon their storage, assembly, and commercial delivery infrastructure. So we're able to reduce inventory, increasing the efficiencies in tracking accountability, ultimately lowering the investment in working capital and non-moving overage supplies. These two tools add to the DynaStage family of products. They're helping in delivering paramount improvements in safety and performance.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for some of that background information. So we have an animation that we're going to pop up on the screen here in a couple minutes. And in this animation, we see a perforating string, and we have 3 DynaStage tools on the string that are shown. So can you explain the placement of each of these tools and discuss how these products work together?
Yeah, of course. So the placement of the DS Liberator it's typical to nearly any release tool. It's located just below your cable head and CCL. In the event of a release, you're able to see your collars, knowing where you're at in the well while you're coming out. And note on this screen share that the DS Liberator, as is mentioned, uses the same IS-2 top fire detonator as the DynaStage family of guns use as well. So below that's the gun string. Again, the IS-2 same detonator that's used in the Liberator for the Infinity, Inline, Trinity, and Echo gun strings. So just below that would be your Microset. So this as well is using the same style plug and go IS-2 igniter that would be used in a typical setting tool. And below that, of course, you'd have your third-party adapter kit and plug. So again, as mentioned, the DS Liberator and DS Microset are extensions or an expansion upon the factory assembled performance assured systems. Both of them fully compatible with the DynaStage gun systems. The two tools are integrated seamlessly to more complete the DynaStage perforating string or perforating experience, increasing the levels of safety, efficiency, and overall reliability.
Mm-hmm. So as we get into more details of each of the tools, I think it'd be best to start with the top of the gun string and then work our way down. So for these next few questions, I'd like to focus on some of the specifics of DS Liberator. So for those of us who might not be very familiar with ballistic release, could you just walk us through how it works and then maybe some of the advantages of the tool?
Yeah, of course. So again, placement just below cable head and CCL atop the gun string. It's using a industry proven release mechanism. This is the same one found in the DynaEnergetics TCP auto release firing head. You know, it's engineered technology proven for many years with over thousands of successful releases. The mechanism uses explosive energy to create a reliable mechanical separation. The advantages of it, it's using the IS-2 plug and go technology. This is preventing unintentional detonation from RF, stray current, stray voltage, again, delivering highest levels of safety and reliability. The tool is reusable, requiring very minimal redress between runs. There's no additional ballistic components such as boosters or additional wiring required within the release tool. And it's also cost effective enough to be disposed of after activation.
So you mentioned some of the key features of the tool. What would you say are the advantages of using DS Liberator over the common practice of using a weak point in the cable head?
Right, so determining or calculating a weak point is a common practice in a stuck tool string scenario. However, it gets a bit tricky in calculating that in a horizontal environment due to the curves and bends and friction points, etc., within the well. It leaves the question, is the surface pulling force even making it to the weak point? If it's released, the tool, the DS Liberator, it's leaving a clean fishing net to latch onto. Liberator offers basically a peace of mind when the safe working load and all other attempts to become free have been exhausted.
Mm-hmm. And are there differences between our system and then maybe other similar systems that are out there already in the market?
Oh, absolutely. So as mentioned, the release mechanism uses explosive force to shift a locking collar. This is creating a predictable mechanical action to separate. Other release tools are using a detonator as well, or explosive force, but they're using it to break or damage or destroy some sort of locking device within the tool. This is more of an unpredictable release method. So this tool has been tested and proven to release with up to 2,000 pounds of tension under hydrostatic conditions. Some other release tools are known to not release if there's tension on the tool.
Mhm.
So this tool as well is the shortest known release tool on the market at only 1 foot long. Again, no additional ballistics required within the tool, no additional wiring in the field. It's the IS2 plug and go design. This is created for ease of use for the end user. There's simple redress processes. Delivers a release component of the tool string at a lower cost.
So you mentioned short in length. You said, I think, only about 1 foot. So can you walk us through some of the other specifications of Liberator?
Yes, of course. So yeah, like you said, the mention of the 1 foot in length, the outer diameter of the tool is 2 3/4 inch, weighing in at only 17 pounds, a maximum temperature rating of 375 degrees, max pressure rating of 20,000 PSI, typical Acme style connections, box pin design, and has a max tension pull of 30,000 pounds. The tool, again, as said, releases with up to 2,000 pounds of overpull applied. Can release with up to 15,000 pounds of hydrostatic pressure. The tool is designed to not release on hydrostatic pressure alone. And then again, it's compatible with the IS2 top fire enabled detonator.
Mm-hmm. So we've had a lot of great questions come in through chat and through Q&A. I just want to, before we move on to our next question, I just want to remind everyone that if you have any questions, please be sure that you are submitting them through the Q&A or chat function, which is again located at the bottom of your screen, and we will save room for questions at the end. So Jason, thank you for providing us with those background and details on DS Liberator. I would now like to transition to talk some more about some of the details of DS Microset. So just to kind of kick things off with DS Microset, could you just walk us through some of the main benefits or advantages that the tool offers?
Yeah, for sure. So as mentioned, delivered to the field, it comes pre-assembled with a factory installed power charge. This power charge is of our own design or recipe, if you will. This is aiding in increasing the effectiveness of the gas force. It also is controlled for a burn that is smoothly and effectively setting a plug. So there's no firing head required. Safety factors are increased, resulting from a dual self-bleed design. It's providing an in-well controlled pressure release. The tool is also designed to eliminate the need to restroke or unstroke the tool to access the mandrel lock screws. This, again, reduces chances for safety type injuries, hand injuries, things of that nature. Mm-hmm. You get a positive shot confirmation from the igniter disconnect. It's not always detected by a system when using conventional firing heads. It's 100% maintenance free, fully disposable, no rebuild time. again, arrives on location fully assembled. The user just inserts the IS2 plug and go igniter. This in turn is increasing your reliability versus conventional type setting tools. There's no oil needed within the tool as well. And again, length optimization always kept in mind. The tool's exposed length is approximately 16 inches long.
So you mentioned a couple times that DS Microset is disposable and it eliminates the redress process. Are there issues that could be brought about from redressing these tools repeatedly?
Yeah, for sure. The run into issues with overall metal fatigue from this frequent cycling of these tools. They're not exactly designed for that type of cycling. Also, metallurgy problems in the firing heads as they're seeing such high pressure from the, or sorry, high temperatures from the power charges. This will give you damage to sealing surfaces as well in these reusable tools. It can potentially cause leaks, which could lead to premature plug sets or the inability to set a plug. There's of course always safety risk involved in the rebuild processes, from hand injuries, you know, potentials for trap pressure, even with some worn self-bleeding tools, and again, foot injuries as well is always a factor. They're also labor intensive for the redressing process, requiring additional personnel and the associated cost with that, of course, increasing your man hours for those tools. So being disposable, the Microset eliminates all of these types of situations.
So I just want to backtrack a little bit on something that you touched on earlier. You mentioned that there was no firing head required. So can you just elaborate a little bit more on what that means?
Yeah, so the tool, basically you insert the igniter into it and it attaches directly to the bottom of your bottommost DynaStage gun. This is, you know, helping decrease your overall length. It eliminates multiple electrical contacts and sealing surfaces. This is, you know, reducing the potentials for communication issues or leakage type failures.
And what are some common concerns that DS Microset can help overcome? And what procedures must be executed at the well site prior to running Microset downhole?
So as most know, I'd say your two biggest issues come into a human error type play of oil and power charges. So either one, forgetting to put oil in a tool, which will not set a plug right or not set the plug at all. And then again, there's potentials for incorrectly inserting power charges or not inserting a power charge at all. These are things that can be overcome as the tool doesn't require oil and will be assembled with power charge in the factory with you know, QC checks on that. Really with the DS Microset, our well site preparation procedures are very simple, safe, and straightforward. The tools, again, plug and go, fully assembled. All the user has to do is insert the IS2 igniter, make it up to the rest of the tool string, test it with the surface tester as you would the gun string, and of course attach the third-party kit and plug to it, and you're ready to run in hole.
Can you walk us through the specs as well for Microset?
Yeah, absolutely. So this tool that we're talking about is a number 20 equivalent tool. The dimensions of it, the outer dimensions of it would be 3.83, which is pretty common OD for that type tool. Again, weighs in at less than 50 pounds. The overall length is 24 inches, but the exposed makeup length is, like was mentioned, about 16 inches. It has a 7.5-inch stroke length, which would be good for near any of your composite type frac plugs, among others. Has a shear force of up to 60,000 pounds. Your hookups for it are your typical 6.5 Baker equivalent. Again, pressure ratings, temperature ratings, same as the DS Liberator, 20 kpsi and 375 degrees. And also the power charge would be installed at the factory.
Jason, thank you for the background and for walking us through the details of these tools. You definitely helped my understanding of how these tools work, and I'm sure the audience will agree. We've had some great questions come in through chat from the audience, so before we wrap up, I just want to go over some of those. So our first question here is about DS Liberator. So the question is, when is the right time to run the DS Liberator, and can I use it on every perforating run?
Right, so when looking at most wireline well models, the suggestion is, err on the side of caution. Basically, anytime you run into a horizontal section of the well, there's a good chance that you wouldn't be able to get your force to a weak point. And it's always, like stated before, peace of mind having that tool in there. So basically, anytime you go into a horizontal section, also your first run, even if you're not going into the horizontal portion of the well, you never know what's happened, even in the vertical section. Could be casing issues, stuff like that. So always good first run to have a release tool in the string.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Our next question is about Microset. And so the question is DS Microset compatible with third-party frac plugs?
Yes, it is, absolutely. It was designed to work with third-party frac plugs. We've done extensive testing on many various plug vendors to confirm that compatibility.
Let's see our next question here. Switching back to DS Liberator. So they are asking, how often can I reuse the detonator in the DS Liberator tool?
Right, so our suggestion for that is run it 5 times. There's a small redress kit that would be used every 5 runs on that tool. And then to minimize your waste expenditures, you put that detonator into your bottom gun.
Our next question, how does shot confirmation work?
With the DS Microset, your shot confirmation is performed through a physical, mechanical disconnect from your contact to the igniter.
And then our next question here, I think you just touched on it, but just to reiterate, is DS Microset available in other sizes?
So as of current, no, but that research is being put in currently on other sizes, mainly a number 10 equivalent.
Okay. And our next question, how many runs can be made with the DS Liberator detonator?
Right, that one was just answered. It was the 5 runs, yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. We're about out of time for today, so I think that wraps it up for today's webinar. Thank you, Jason, for your time today, and thank you everyone for attending and for the great questions. Apologies if we did not get to your question. If we did not have a chance to answer it on this call, we will be following up with you by email. If you have any other questions, please submit them to either of the email addresses you see on your screen. You will also see a QR code on the right side of your screen. If you open up your camera on your phone and you scan this code, it'll take you to a survey where you can provide feedback on today's webinar. We really appreciate your comments and any feedback that you can provide us with. So thank you again for attending, and we look forward to having you join our next one. Details for our August webinar will be coming out soon, so stay tuned. Thank you.